Right. So again, we get to scale for file 5 based off of, or file 6 based off of file 5, let's say. Let's just do some house cleaning here. So we had said this is going to be file 6. Yes. So file 6 goes in there. And then we know that this is actually something that we still want to do, this part of the script. So I'm going to move it down. But actually, we had said there's a few additional steps now. So first of all, I'm going to change this. Select all face, yes. And then number 2 now is going to be join all face curves. Yeah, we're going to join all the face curves. So let's just start with that real quick. So if I go in here, I say set multiple curves, and I grab everything, and that means everything. Press enter. Now they're all in here, and you can see that when I am in green mode and I'm doing this. And then we said just join all face curves. So our typical way of doing it is to say join, and right away, if we're reading and not just jumping to the first one, we see join curves. Join as many curves as possible. That's an interesting way of putting it. Let's see if that works for us. So let's inspect this guy. What does he do? Again, you hover over the middle, join as many curves as possible. C, curves to join. P, preserve direction of input curves. Not really something we care about in this case. So if I take this guy over here and I say join, what comes out the back? Lo and behold, it's 4 polyline curves, much like we had at the very beginning of file 1, 2, 3, as well as file 5. Actually, file 5, no. So this now is, more importantly, is not that it just aligns with the other files, it aligns with the first principles of what we defined a face as, which was an outer portion of a face, a mouth, and 2 eyes. So now the data, the number of data objects would relate to the number of properties of a face, which makes it a bit easier of a problem. So let's just group that up. So I'm going to group that. Oops, that's a cluster. We'll get to that in a future date. I'm going to disconnect this. So you right-click, disconnect, curve. Yes. Move this over. Because now the third one was select the mouth. Yes. So we said we're going to select the mouth, curve. And this is going back to our old friend that we just learned about in a previous lesson, which was our friend the list item. Because again, if I pull out my panel, again, it's a computational engineer's best friend when he's first getting started out, this is a list of information. And now the question really is if I click this guy, it doesn't really tell me, I can't see visually which curve in this list is the mouth. Is it 0, 1, 2, 3? So normally what you would do is, again, you say list item, and you'd plug in this list, and now if you click it, you can see the outer face sort of flags up. If I hide all this, it'll be a little bit easier to see. See that? And it's because the default index is 0. Now the default index being 0 is okay, but we don't know the order of this list. We're not in control of the order of this list. And we now need to determine which one do we want. So there's a few ways to do this, but if you're just experimenting and trying to figure it out at the beginning, this is a great opportunity to get introduced to the slider. The slider you can make by double-clicking the canvas and typing in a number. In this case, we have 4 items, so I'm going to type in 3 because we go 0, 1, 2, 3 on the slider is what we want. Now the slider allows you to change stuff parametrically. If any of you have ever heard of parametric design, this is what makes parametric design very user-friendly, let's say, because you can make something like this component out here, hook it up to something like this, and then just slide it, and you can watch as effectively you move between all the different items in the list. So even though this guy right now is showing us that index 2 is a polyline curve, it doesn't really help us. Now, this is showing the importance of list item compounded with the green mode and the visualization aspect of Grasshopper, because we can actually very quickly come up with the answer that we want. This is the script that we want for our particular script at chapter 1. So for chapter 1, this suffices. Many of you are probably thinking, wow, this isn't very automated yet. And that is true. And in the future lessons, we will get into how we make all of this automated. But for right now, we're just trying to learn the basics of how the computer sees the world and how to do very basic operations on how he sees the world. So we're seeing how he sees the world in terms of what objects it sees, in this case a lot of geometry, and it happens to be a list of geometry, and we're varying that type of data so you can see that. If we take this mouth now, we push this over here, let's see if we turn on red mode, we definitely see a smile there, but there's definitely some sacrificial geometry going on. So I'll just take, especially everything in my script that's on this side, I definitely don't want to see it. And there you go. There's my smile. Again, if I were you, I'd just kind of hide the original mouth. Again, this exercise is not about doing something useful. This exercise is about understanding how the computer thinks and the basics of computer science for computational engineers.